The summary so far, this is what you need to know. Okay, I'll give you the summary. The Rosh Hashanah is every year Hamshacha from the Reimemus Atzmis Shalamayla, which we explained yesterday. There's relative Reimemus, there's essential Reimemus. And the Hamshacha, what we're touching, is not relatively, meaning to say beyond creation, but beyond. Of the very being, as it were, of the Eibishter. So that begs the question, Arimimcha Elokai HaMelech, I will exalt you. So explain that I will exalt you goes in the Reimemus Ha'atzmis. So how do we understand that we're going to elevate? There's no elevation in Atzmos. The answer is takanot. Here the word Arimimcha does not mean to elevate, but the opposite means to draw down. And explained that the chaf at the end, the chaf pshuta, as opposed to the chaf kvufa, indicates the hamshacha of the inyan lamata. But then he gave a second pirush that a mimcha alakai hamelech is not merely hamshacha, but also elevation. What's being elevated? The darga of Elokai is being elevated to the darga of the Reimemus Ha'atzmos. So there's Hamshacha Melamayla Lamata. That's the Hamshacha of the Reimemus Ha'atzmis down here. There's the Halom Lamata Lamayla. That's the elevation of the darga of Elokai, Lekashali, but the Mimcha Elokai Hamelech to Reimemus Ha'atzmos. And both things were affected by other Marishan, as we explained on the very first day of creation. Now is Gimel, the explanation. There are two meanings in the word Elokai. Elokai Malashon Koyach, strength or power. Power, but strength is a misnomer, it means power. Ve'Elokai Malashon Elikus, and Elokai denoting godliness. It would appear that these two explanations are in contradiction, they're opposites. When you say godliness, we're talking about a divine revelation. We're talking about the divine revelation that manifests from the essence. What is that? Specifically, that's the world of godliness of Atzilus, which is the manifestation of the essence of Elikus. The world of godliness. Atzilus is the expression of the revelation of the infinite emanator, blessed be he. In a word, it's godliness. But power is not light or revelation. It's not the natural expression of the source. It's there with something distinct and separate from the source itself. When expressed, it comes in a concealed way, not conveying the source. No, what's a simple example of koyach? Lamata. What's an example of lamata within a person and koyach lamata? We learned about this not that long ago.
You mean a rock? Are you
Pardon?
speaking about the marshal throwing a rock?
I'm asking you to give a marshal. Yeah, that's the marshal. Kicking something, throwing something, so that thing is projecting because of your koyach, completely separate from you. Number one, that's the last word. This is a bob b'chinas koyach nelam. Contrast that with oir by a person. What's oir by a person? No, it's also kech nivel. You're right, walk away, it's gone. You can disappear. Your writing is going to remain. Dibur, you can record your speech and it's separate from you. Dibur is somewhere in between. The example of Oid is just being yourself and being an inspiration. You're just being you and you're illuminating your environment. Koyach, throwing that object is not being you. It's something that you could do, and you could do lots of things. It's something that you did. And when you do it, you can walk away in the stone and still sailing through the air. So they're opposites. Oir is the spashtus of the etzem, and koyach, well, it's there, but not discernible. It's not discernible. When you look in the person, you don't see kicking a football. Something you can do, but you're not looking to, there's a potential for it, but you don't see that there. It's not made, it's not expressing who you are. Anybody can throw a stone or kick the ball or whatever the act might be. So the opposites become walkim. So that's the shaila. How can elikai mean both elikus and koyach? As you apply this to God, as he applies to the Eibush, the Odi means the natural expression of God, and koyach means God doing things but completely concealed. It's not traceable. An example that we gave: if you see a stone sailing through the air, you have no clue, can never know who threw it. It's just not traceable. If it's a person or the wind or an animal or anything. But Oir is eminently traceable to the source. It's nothing other than the revelation of the source. And you can tell what the source is from the Oir.
Because you're in the muscle of inspiration, or like someone could stay inspired even after the person is not.
That's the effect on him. But what's coming from him? What's coming from him?
Recognize all that.
Uh-huh.
That you know where the source is. Is that the difference? The art, you know that
the Oir is expressing the source.
Right.
It's inseparable. You put something in between, it's the end of the Oir. The person leaves, his inspiration goes with him. His aura, not the effect, his aura. His aura. But you can do an act and goodbye. Keeps on going. You're gone. So applying it to the Eibishter. Oir means that's where he is revealed, that there's an Eibishter and he's revealed. And koyach means God doing things where he's concealed. How can both of them be conveyed in the same word? That's the shari is asking. Both explanations are contained in this word. Answer: because each one, this notion of Oir, the notion of koyach, all brings out a maila about God and his relationship with us. There's a maila in Oir over koyach, so you want to use that term in describing God's relationship with us. As we will say, presently explain, there's a maila, believe it or not, in koyach over Oir, in the relationship, in God's investure. And that's why that's why this one term can bear two explanations, because our question was they're opposites. Our conclusion is sheyesh by beis hamaylis, because each they talk different, but they bring out two virtues, so therefore they're complementary. He will now explain. Okay, have a deep dive. We're gonna I keep on saying we should move along because and there's. I just looked at it ahead. So we'll do our best. I mean, there is instructions to the Rebbe this way, many times in the letters to people to learn Chassidus B'Shufi. Just don't get stuck on it. Just learn. Sometimes you got to do that. Tavshin Chav Hei looks like it's a heavy year. You've behektem bir hafish bein Oir l'Shem. To understand the difference between Oir and Chayis, Oir, there's Chayis in between. Oir and Chayis goes together, and then there's Shem and Koyach generally go together. So now he's explaining between the Oir of a person and his name. And the Oir is just simply his personality that naturally is expressed. And his name. Now the Shem Inyan Malchus, the Inyan of a name is associated with Malchus. The king's relationship with the people is not much more than his name is upon them. Elokai HaMelech, that's why Elokai, which is the Inyan of Shem, it's saying now. Elokai equals Koyach equals name. And how is God referred to? HaMelech. Why? Because the two are connected. Melech Shmoi Nikra. The king's name is called upon them. What emanates from the king over the ministers and the servants? They're not privy to the king himself. They carry the name of the state, the name of the king. People don't know the king. He's in complete seclusion and privacy. His relationship is the title that he wears, the name. Which is why, interestingly enough, you see the history of monarchy that they don't look for original names, the second, the third, the first, the fifth. Why not be original? Because it's not about the originality of the person. It's about the monarchy. And the monarchy has its name. There's a word for it. Crest, etc. It's expressed in the name.
Stempel.
Its logo in contemporary terms. So the difference between the Oir and Shem is similar to Oir and Koyach. So let's explore the inyan of Shem and Oir and understand Koyach. The matter is as follows. Heads up, the way he explains Oir here is not the way we have suggested, but the classical way, literally light emanating from a source. The light, the rays, from a source of light. Now, we have different nuance. Clearly not speaking that nuance here, as you'll see. The Oir hu giloi, so light reveals, and it's attached in a way that you can see, traceable again. The dvekus, the attachment, as it were, to the source of light is expressed, not hidden. V'shem hu helem. I tell you somebody's name, you know nothing about them. V'bedvekus built in the keres, it's that person's name, but the attachment to him is just not seen. Clear? Built in the keres. In the Oir hu giloi, light is revelation. Light reveals the source of light. Now here's this is classic. If you look at the light, you don't see the source, but you see the light. So you know, is this a light that's coming from a flame? Is it the moonlight? Sunlight? Or daylight? Now, what's the difference between sunlight and daylight? Yeah, that's what it means. Yeah, it's like sunset, sunrise. Yeah, at any rate.
You can have a non-sunny day and still see daylight.
What?
You can have a non-sunny day. You don't see the sun, but it's still daylight.
He's saying
like
it's a cloudy
outside. You see daylight, but the sun is not out. It's
daylight. You see it like cloudy. It's cloudy.
Yeah, but it's still daylight.
Right. Because you can tell from the light what the source of light is, because the source of the light is revealed in the light. All light is of the same stuff, as it were, and reflective of the moir, the source, the luminary. The fishu dovok ba'amoy, because light is connected to the source, has no independent existence. It emanates from the source and therefore reveals the source. Now, okay, deep dive. So in the same way that light itself reveals where it comes from, likewise, so the effect that it has on that which it touches is what? It brings light there. Its source is a luminary, and its effect is to illuminate. Yeah. And moreover, shebedover hamor, so that which receives the light, we look at it. We don't even have to see the light. We just have to see what the light is illuminating. We can see what is it that's illuminating it. Here you can see too, not just looking at the rays, but that which the rays hit and bring light to. So the way it illuminates, we can tell it's a flame illuminating it, or the moon, or the sun. So tell me what you just said now, 2 things about light, or 3 things. You want to summarize what he said? Just put it on the table, all the things he said. Pardon? You know the source. Basically 2 things. And the second thing you just said?
Touches sea.
Brings revelation where it shines.
Even looking at how it illuminates the recipient, that tells you what the source is too. Not just the light itself, as it travels from the source, you can tell what the source is. But even if you just look at what it illuminates, it brings, what does it bring to the place it illuminates? It brings the source. This is a candle that illuminates that. This is the sun or the moonlight. It's sort of in this whole thing, but that's the pashtus. In other words, emotional. Okay, emotional, that's okay, a chassid that's inspired. So you can tell, looking at the chassid, what kind of Rebbe, who's the Rebbe that inspires this? Chassid is the oir. And then the chassid is mashpia on somebody else, illuminate somebody else. You can also tell what kind of Rebbe it is. Not just looking at the chassid. You see the effect that he has in the environment. Just going to mention this now because yesterday we had the family wedding, square or all kinds of, And there's a family staying at our house. Actually, my wife told me this 2 occasions this week. One of a guest in the house, but everything but I don't know what they are. Anyway, from 2 places, I think one was the Litvish, and they were saying today, this woman said, this is Chassidish, I wish you were Chabad. I wish you were Chabad. She had an encounter, a kid, whatever, and then the shliach was there. He said, so beautiful. It's the way you guys, it's selfless and devoted, and it's so pure, and you're not caught up in yourself, and it's whatever the word she used. I wish we were Chabad. This is a new thing, friends. It's the last few years. It's a small world. 2 things have happened. People travel and they encounter Chabad everywhere. I always say that no one could have imagined this, that the shluchim in the most distant places, okay, when they first went out, no, so that's what's the objective? Makad of these, obviously. And these, who knows, in the Taiwan, these far places. Turns out that the shluchim in these most distant, exotic places, they're Makad of the frum world, the next door Borough Park in Williamsburg, and downtown Montreal, but here we don't reach. They're traveling there on business, and they go, the Chabad house, it's transformed the Torah world. That's number 1. And number 2, I mean, There's so much posturing and tradition, it can take you. It's just so far can take you. Since I'm on the subject, I'll tell you, it was a very insightful article. Norman Lamb, the president, it was Oliver Shulman, I think he's alive anymore. I'm sure not. The president of the Yeshiva University, he wrote a big Talmud Chacham. Anyway, Bekitz and Nimitz, in the terrible times, the Satman Lubavitch, 77, 78, 79, it was terrible. And I was there in Williamsburg when it all started. It was a terrible time. Thank God that's all history. But he wrote an article, and it was published, that people should understand what's the ideology over here. And so of the obvious flashpoints is Zionism, treating relationships with the rest of the world, non-frum Jews. That's obvious. Everybody knows that's contention. I mean, the whole Entebbe story was a big rift, because they came out and said it's Maasecho, the Zionists, and the Rebbe said to Gewaldige Nes and called upon Rabbonim all over the world to paskin publicly. If a Jew who was saved in Entebbe goes back, they make a bracha or not. Satna felt very isolated because most of the world, So this was that really exposed the deep rift. This came soon after the real division. But back to the article, what he writes there, Lamb, is that there really a deeper difference is the whole nature of the Chassidus. First of all, Satmar says, Nishtach Achteres Baal Shem Tov. You know that. But the Baal Shem Tov began, we don't know. It's lost. This whole, to say that there's a tradition of malamakim for them is nonsense. There's no malamakim. Of the Baal Shem Tov, what he came to do has been forgotten. That's what Rabbi Eilish writes. Now there's merit to what he says, but that's another time, for another time. The Iker is this. He said, in between Lubavitch and all the other Chassidus, then all the other Chassidus, every generation gets lower. And the Rebbe is, the new Rebbe, his greatness is that he sits in the chair where that one sat. It's what he represents, what he's plugged into. And that's how they view him. They view him as less than his predecessor. And he does. And he is. And he very much is. You just look. With all due respect, I'm not saying anything they don't say themselves. But it's the position. It's the schus avos. The whole thing is schus avos. Huh?
The monarchy.
The monarchy. But in Lubavitch, so they have the attitude that each Rebbe is Mamala Mokim and even greater. Each Rebbe is even greater. It's not just their wishful thinking, it's the mitzvah. He fills the place, and there's a new Amshocha, there's a new Gilu, there's a whole process leading to redemption, getting deeper and higher and higher. That's really the core of the division. I'm telling you this because now the world is like, it's getting tired of the symbolism and wants the real thing. I just saw yesterday, and the Pella it's 30 years after Gimel Tammuz, and here's the address. The Rebbe is vibrant and alive, and Chassidus and his message and Shlichus and everything is never stronger. Yesterday, if you saw on COL, a new yeshiva opened in Yerushalayim. It's an amazing thing. But the yeshiva is called something Mayonis something, and it's a yeshiva for Chassidish kids, Mitzuyonim, is for gifted children. And you see that the opening event from all kinds of Chassidus. You see even there from Toldos Aaron. Zalman Gopin and Chaim Sholem Deitch, they're the main mashpiyim. But the teachers are already from other Chassidus that is Garv to Lubavitch. It's a whole movement that they have programs called Mayonis and all over Eretz Yisrael, and people come in the hundreds, and basically it's like remain, don't change your garment and don't change your allegiance and remain, but they're looking. There's a term for it, they call it mevakshim. Mevakshim bezucht. There's a term, that's the big term. They're looking. At the end of the day, you're looking for relevance now. It's Chassidus. Have you get into that? What? Huh?
People were giving the vacation.
Speak after, raise the volume.
People in the 60s were also being the vacation, saying the whole world at the time.
It started then. It started then, and now it's finally the Jewish world. Finally, the Jewish world. Huh? The from world. Yeah.
You started about Oyer. Oyer, Chassidus,
Also, you were talking about how you can recognize.
Oyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you said the Maasecho.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back. So first we have to have it before. Let's go. Harness, not Harson. Harness the Pferd before. Okay, so he said two things. We said about oil. The oil itself tells you what the moed is, and even that which the oil illuminates. You see, it's lichtig, it's lit up. You can see what's the source that's illuminating it. So, next, weiter. Now applying it to the Eibishter. What does this mean? Pasha. The Eibishter allows himself to be known, and he allows himself to be known. Now, we say to him is translation. The oil, this is strange words, but let's say them. The oil reveals not just the luminary, but higher than the luminary. The Eibishter is higher than a luminary. A luminary must illuminate. A luminary already acknowledges there is where something outside of the luminary where his presence, his light will manifest, will be known. The Eibishter is beyond luminary because Mitzad Atzmos, Ein Oid Milvadoi, there's nothing else. The whole concept of illumination doesn't exist because the illumination means by default, you're revealing to something other, whatever that other level is, the most sublime level of otherness. But there isn't. So big news here is, okay, so Atzmos, the Eibishter himself, decides to express himself. Those words himself already are saying more. He's decided to reveal himself. So in that word express, there's going to be the gather of otherness, and there's going to be you that's going to reveal yourself to the other, to know that there is a God in the most sublime levels. So what's the big news he just said now? That the oyer, which means God allowing himself to be known, that there's a God to be known, carries, the proof is we're talking about it, carries the truth of not only he's a moed, Atzmos beyond moed. This itself is carried in this revelation. Please phrase that. Get these words clear, friends, because the next sentence does say this. I can't say it better. The revelation reveals, not just reveals him, but reveals that he's beyond revelation. That too is Hashem has let us know. That too he's revealed. He's revealed that the notion of revelation is not a given. It's something that he has chosen, given rise to. That truth we also know from the oyer. So we know more than moed. Because moed already means, let's put it this way, in the classic sense. Again, I'm going to use the word creator, but it's going to be confusing because later he uses the word creator referring to Atzmos, and I'll tell you why. You've been hearing from me over and over again, in one guise or another, that Abish is beyond creator. So by that we mean, we say beyond creator, beyond the artist. The artist means he's hardwired in a certain way. There's a world out there. The nature of things is to self-express, and he expresses his talent. God's beyond that, beyond Oyer and Giloy and Ma'ir.
We're calling it Eir, but is it just kind of just saying that Eir is not the perfect mashal for it? Because Eir, but the mashal of Eir is mother. It's not a perfect mashal. It seems to be just based on that.
Well, in the nimshal, yeah, it's the sun. That's the end of it. It's a candle. It stops there. Although, I don't know. Even scientifically, at the at the atomic level, subatomic level, is it a mo'er? It could be anything. Even begashmis, things manifestedly are not what they are. Their core, they could manifest in many ways.
Everything,
Huh?
everything is infinite.
Yeah, it's all made up of atoms at the core. So even begashmis, we'll leave this for the big physicists, the big maskilim. We're just the oivdim. We're the oivdim. So I'm waiting for Chaim to say oivdim with the aleph. Even the oivdim with the aleph will come back. Weiter. Besedim is there, moreover, again, so Gam we just get the flow of this. It reveals the moed. In other words, that means revealing the Eibishter as he is given to be revealed. The Oir conveys the essence of the Eibishter beyond a luminary, which luminary means otherness to which I'm being revealed to. Yeah, right? Just like the famous quote, which we were saying all the time, previous memoriam. It's a quote from the Alter Rebbe in Torah Oir. It's one of the most famous quotes in all of Chassidus. Not translation. Literally. Not this is the ikar of godliness, that light comes from him. Why? Because light already means otherness. And then this height and whole gather of it. Kamoike, the same thing. And I'm sorry, I missed the line here. No. The quote Alter Rebbe is, not this is the primary quote. Not this is the ikar of godliness, that he's a creator. That's not God's greatness, that he's a creator, right? It's a role he chose to descend upon, which is ma'ir. Likewise, not this is the ikar of godliness, that his infinite presence radiates, because he's beyond the irradiation, beyond light, beyond his presence being known. It's the same thing. God beyond creator. We're getting the general idea. Good. In addition to the fact that God can be known, that's what Oir means. This is his essence. There's endless, infinite possibilities, in addition to making his presence known to a creation. There's a very big thing. Latently, God has allowed us to know him as he is, beyond creator, beyond luminary, beyond everything. He'll say later in a latent form. Now we're going to get to Yesh Mayin. So we'll leave for tomorrow. I'm just going to give introduction today. Because it'll sound like a contradiction, so you have to get this clear. I just said today, and you hear me say over and over again, that Deibish is beyond the creator. He's not hardwired to create. Yes? Clear? But he's going to say here and associate Boire with Atzmus. So I'm just going to tell you now the distinction. The Bria Yesh Ma'ayin, something from nothing, that's only B'cheika Atzmus. Only Atzmus will explain tomorrow. When I say God's beyond creator, we're talking about the tzir, the particular virtues and talents and beauty of creation. That's the oid of creation. But the etzem ishavus, that's only Mikoich Ha'atzmos Yesh Ma'ayin, which is a huge topic. We'll try and address it tomorrow a little bit. That's what he means here by Baida. The Yesh Ma'ayin. When it comes to Yesh Ma'ayin, friends, there's no difference what you create. It's not a bigger miracle to create the most sophisticated entity out of nothing or the simple grain of sand. That's the atzmistic thing. Now, the sophistication of creation, that's when I speak about God's. That's the artist of the divine. That's the artistry. And that, the Eibush says, beyond the artistry. But the actual isavus of that things can exist out of nothing, that's Mikoich Ha'atzmos. That's what it means by Boira here. Not the artist, because an artist doesn't create Yesh Ma'ayin. It's all there. He's just a very talented way combining it all. Okay, so we'll review this tomorrow. We shouldn't get confused. Okay, today's story